Figma and Framer have never been so similar before. With Figma introducing Figma Sites and Framer introducing Framer design pages, both tools are now able to do a lot of what the others have done, but there is some differences between them, and that's part of why we're making this video. This is my personal experience. I'm pretty new to Framer. I've used Figma for a while, and I've just been getting more into Framer, and I've really liked what I've been seeing with it. But yeah, let's get more into the details. To sort of summarize what my thoughts are going to be is it all depends on your use case. Both have different strengths, and both are honestly for different purposes in some ways. Figma is general, broad design work. Framer is specific to the web. So Framer can design UIs, it can design, brochures or whatever else you might need, but that is not its main use case. Framer has been built for building websites, and Figma has been built for all design work. All depends on your use case. What is it that you're trying to build? Look at that first, and then you can kind of decide which tool is the right for you. And the nice thing is you don't really have to be exclusive. It's not like you have to choose one or the other. Figma and Framer have both made a lot of changes that have made these two tools overlap in a lot of ways, and they really have become a one-to-one competitor in a lot of cases, with both of them kind of playing catch up in their formerly absent features. What held up Figma in the past is you could design your website exactly how you want it, but that's as far as you're able to get in Figma. You build out a design and it takes a while, then you need to actually develop that design, and that takes a while too. So what Framer's trying to get at is we're trying to limit the amount of times you have to build out your website. So you don't have to design it, get it how you want it, bring it over to another tool, develop it there, and then go live. Now you can design it and build it essentially simultaneously and then go live. And that cuts out a lot of that, formerly back and forth work that we were accustomed to. And Figma is being smart, and they're watching the competition, they're seeing what's out there, and they, I'm sure, are looking at Framer and seeing just the sort of strides that they're making that are more resembling Figma and are posing a threat to them. And so they are rightfully responding and essentially trying to create their own dupe of Framer by building out your own Figma website within Figma, which is what they launched last year called Figma Sites. I will say right now that I've never used Figma Sites because I have seen people use it. I watched the Figma config announcement of Figma Sites, and I could see immediately right away about how limited it was. I could tell that it is not all the way there. I think they launched it because they needed to, because they saw just where the industry was going and they needed to respond to Framer, so they launched it. But there's a lot of limitations in there, and I can definitely see how it is way behind. So I'm not even going to really speak on the Figma Sites much because I don't think that it is much of a one-to-one comparison with Framer. Framer is by and far the number one spot when you compare the two. Now you can look at Framer and other web building tools like Webflow. I have some videos about Webflow that I've used, WordPress. You can have arguments about those, but when it comes to Figma and Framer, when it comes to websites, Framer is the number one choice. It's not even a close comparison. And the first one is the infinite canvas. This is a more new feature to Framer as they announced their Framer design pages. In the past, they really just gave you one page that was like the web page, and you could build on it just like you would with Figma. You could draw anywhere on the canvas, and then you could add the structure later with their stacks, which is just the same thing as auto layout. But when you're designing, you want to iterate and you want to try different variations. And so that open canvas just leaves so much of that history of your design process on there. So Framer didn't have that, but now because of the Framer design pages, that is now a possibility within Framer and is a huge added benefit. The other biggest similarity is they look almost identical. The tools on the right side, you've got this open canvas. Even the keyboard shortcuts for the most part are the same. Like R is rectangle, F is frame, Shift A is auto layout or stacks. And that makes me really happy because you can jump back and forth between the two. And for the most part, not have to, change much of your muscle memory. Both also utilize component-based workflows. And once you start getting into components, you can see just the benefit of them. Another similarity is they both offer collaboration. So just like within Figma that you can collaborate with someone, Framer also offers that as well. They are both free to get started. So you don't need to pay them anything to learn these tools. You just need to create an account and you have access to all of these design tools. Now there's some limitations on Figma, like the dev mode, you don't have full access to that, and you don't have access to the MCP server, but all the design tools are free within the free plan. So Framers though is a little bit more generous. Framers design tool is entirely free, which is cool. So you can have as many projects, as many files as you want, and it won't cost you anything. With Figma, you just get 3, but that is the difference there. So you might be thinking at this point in the video that Framer just seems like it is the obvious choice. Free, unlimited design, superior web building capabilities. Why would you use Figma? So let's actually talk about some of the differences and why you might actually use Figma over Framer. The biggest one is this is the industry standard. So if you are working among professionals within design, they are going to expect that when they receive a design file from you, that they're going to receive a Figma design file, because that's what the industry uses. Like in photo, if you want to be seen as a serious professional, you're going to be using Photoshop, you're going to be using Lightroom. If you're an illustrator, you're going to be using Illustrator. If you're in motion design, you're going to be using After Effects. If you're in color grading, you're going to be using DaVinci Resolve. And if you are in design, you're going to be using Figma. And that's just how it is. It's how it's been. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. And Figma is still superior in so many aspects. So when it comes to vector-based design, Figma, hands down, crushes Framer. So if you're really wanting to build vector art and graphic design, Figma has a lot more tools suited for you. They're coming out with a lot of really awesome things when it comes to Figma Draw that you can see. If you're needing to use, a lot of the pen tool or vector manipulation, Figma, without a doubt, is far superior to Framer. And you can do so much more in Figma when it comes to design than you can in Framer. Now, what's awesome about these two platforms is that because both of these accept vector art and SVGs, is you can paste a lot of your designs directly in from Figma to Framer. So because you can copy SVGs and paste them inside of Framer, you are able to still have that in your Framer website, but you just can't build it within Framer. So you still need to rely on Figma in that aspect. And then what I think is the biggest difference is Figma is multi-platform. Like I mentioned, Framer is for the web. So if you're building websites and that's all you do, that is your career, Framer 100% might be all you need. Like you may not ever need to touch Figma except if you might need to build out a specific vector art. Like if that's all you need Figma for, then 100% stay within Framer. But if you're building things beyond websites, then you really need to be using Figma. Now, do not get me wrong. I would love to see Framer go in this direction as well. This is actually my number one request I would give to Framer if I could, is to go in the direction of UIs, not just websites, because I really love the design to structure process within Framer. Figma has that with their design, and then with their MCP, you can create a design and you can convert that design into code relatively easy, and it's relatively accurate. I am really excited about MCPs. They are like APIs on steroids, and the things that you can do because of AI is really, really impressive. Because of competition, Figma is having to adapt. We've got Lovable, we have Framer. Both are kind of pulling in different directions, and Figma feels kind of that squeeze happening. Figma, though, has a lot of resources, and you can see that they're putting them to good use because they're building things out like Figma Make, which is a competitor to Lovable. And then they have Figma Sites, which is trying to be a competitor to Framer. And then they're trying to maintain their status of having their platform be the industry standard for design. And I think they're doing a pretty good job on it. But, what's so great about competition is it makes everybody bring their A game. But let's go into the pros of Framer now. The first one is the zero handoff. So when you design something in Figma, there is a handoff process no matter what, because I'm not, building my sites within Figma Sites yet. It's not there. It does not matter what it is. This could be using the MCP server and sending it to Cursor and converting that into code. Or this could be as intense as rebuilding each component individually again within Webflow or within Framer. So that is a drawback of Figma, that there is a handoff. And this is a pro in Framer because Framer has a zero handoff. So if you design your website and then you convert that design into the website, it all is within there. You don't have to rebuild anything again. So this is a huge thing if you're just in the web space. Framer 100% makes a lot of sense. The second pro to Framer is the high fidelity prototyping. Figma, you can prototype, but it's limited in what you can do. Within Framer, you can prototype very high fidelity interactions. You can create the different variants in different states, and you can create these beautiful animations. You don't have that power inside of Figma. it gives you that power inside of Framer, and that's a huge tool. If you're building a dashboard inside of Framer purely to prototype, it makes sense if you're like really trying to convince a stakeholder or a shareholder or convince someone that building this thing is a good idea and to give them that vision. But in some cases, it just doesn't make sense to go that far. The SEO in Framer I've noticed is really good. And the performance of your sites is also fantastic. The sites load really well. Framer auto-converts a lot of your elements, whether they're images or videos, to make sure that your website is performing at an optimal speed. The last thing that I'll mention with Framer is they have really good animations, and they're really easy to use, and you still have control over them, and it just feels really good. Compared to Figma Sites, you get like 5 presets, and you don't have much manipulation of them. So big win goes to Framer there. So to say it again, you might think Framer is the choice. There are so many pros about it, and that is true. Framer is very powerful, it is amazing, and it is advancing at really impressive rates. But there is one big gotcha that I don't think they're ever going to address, and I think it's important to mention here. The big thing is vendor lock-in within Framer. So for a lot of people, this won't matter. You build websites, you build them for clients, you build them for yourself, whatever it is. You go live, you like using Framer, you like using the tool, you like hosting it within Framer. That's perfectly fine. But for a lot of people, and with the advancements of AI technology, there are so many more interesting tools out there that we would love to have access to. And within Framer, you are locked in to your vendor. You are really tied to them. You're kind of chained to Framer once you start building out within there. And for lots of people, I don't think that this is a problem at all. If you're just designing, building websites, going live with those websites, that's not going to be an issue. But for some people, there is going to be a time where you might want to go elsewhere. And when you are locked into a platform, it can be very painful and it can be very expensive to have to start from scratch. But with that comes some great benefits like the free design pages. Because they know that you can't really go anywhere else besides Framer, then they can trust that they can still make money off you once you go live with your design. But you are locked in to their system. You can't go elsewhere. Like with Webflow, one of the biggest pros of Webflow is you're able to export your code and you can take it elsewhere. You get access to that code. And in fact, I've been using that with a project where I was building this large multi-step form. I built it all out within Webflow. And then I was like, I need to actually have this be converted into React and take it somewhere else. And Webflow made it super easy. I could export my code. It packaged it very nicely for me and made that transition process very smooth and easy. Framer doesn't do that. So for me, that's not a deal breaker, but that is a big limitation. Whereas Figma, sure, you have to actually pay to have their design feature, but then you get access to their MCP server, which they understand is connecting to other software to build really cool things. So you can connect to Cursor and take your design and build logic into it. That you can build a fully functional website purely from Figma and Cursor or Figma and Cloud Code. I'll talk more about these going into the future, more about the nuanced differences when you're actually using them in use. But I will just say these are both great tools. So if you don't have an account with both of them right now, get started, start playing around with it, and start learning how to use them. Because if you are really interested in UIs and web design, I think that this is the place that is really making the most headway and progress in this world. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you are interested to continue to see my journey as I am journeying to become a creative juggernaut, please follow along for this channel. And if you've liked this video, I would greatly appreciate if you could give it a like. Thank you so much for watching it again, and I will see you next time.